This is an underrated banger of a Halloween movie. Let's do it. Dark Harvest takes place in the early 1960s in this small rural town, and it opens up showing us the town's annual Halloween run. So basically, there is this supernatural being called Sawtooth Jack that stalks the town every Halloween. And every year, the boys of this town are forced to participate in this run where they have to stop and kill Sawtooth Jack before midnight before he can reach the town's church. So this one particular year, this boy named Jim Shepard kills Sawtooth Jack, so he wins the run. After he kills him, we see all the other participants swarm Jack's body and rip him open and grab all this candy out of him and eat it. So we see Jim being celebrated by the town for winning, and his brother Richie is there. His parents are all proud. And for winning the run, he wins $25,000 and a brand new Chevrolet Corvette. So while Jim is being cheered on, he says goodbye to his little brother Richie, he gets in his car, and he drives away to a new life. So then we cut to a year later, and we see Officer Ricks giving a lecture at the high school to the boys about this year's upcoming run. We see Richie in the crowd, and we learn that he is exempt from this year's run because his brother was the previous winner, so his family's already won the prize. However, Richie is sick of living in his brother's shadow, so he's volunteering to do the run, which everybody thinks he's fucking stupid for. And we see how overall Richie is really frustrated with this town and resentful of his brother. We see Richie meet this new girl named Kelly, who he starts to flirt with. And we also see him get beat up and have his belt stolen by these bullies who then pretty much tell him like it's a shame that you're Jim Shepard's brother, you'll never live up to him. We also see that Richie's mom gives him a postcard that is addressed to him from his brother Jim in California. And Richie gets kind of frustrated by this because he's like, he can send me a postcard, but he still has never written me a letter. And then the next day, Richie comes home and looks in the mailbox to find a letter from his brother Jim saying, I can't bring you out here with me yet, I'm living a new life. So frustrated by this and by the town as a whole, Richie steals a car and tries to leave the town. But Officer Ricks catches him and pretty much knocks him out and drags him back to his parents. Meanwhile, out in the cornfield, we see the body of Sawtooth Jack strung up on this wooden beam. And one night, we see this farmer take him down from the beam, cut him open, and stuff him with candy and sew him back up. So that's how Sawtooth Jack gets the candy that's inside of him that we saw in the opening scene. And it turns out that before they participate in the run, the boys have to be starved for 3 days. So all the boys that are forced to participate are locked in their rooms for the 3 days leading up to Halloween. So Halloween rolls around and all the boys are let out of their rooms, they grab their weapons, they put their masks on, and they set out into the night to hunt Sawtooth Jack. Richie's parents refuse to let him go, and they seem really weird about the whole thing, but he manages to sneak out and meet up with his friends anyway. So Richie and 3 of his friends chase down Sawtooth Jack and follow him into the cornfield, where Sawtooth Jack proceeds to brutally off 2 of the boys. But when he gets to Richie, he seems to pause, which allows Richie time to escape. While the 3rd friend, Bud, runs home and tries to get inside, but his parents turn him away and tell him, we need this, go be a man. So he runs into the street and he begs these boys who are hiding in a cellar to let him in, which they refuse. But as they're all arguing, Sawtooth Jack shows up and offs them all. Meanwhile, Richie runs into Kelly, who decided that she's going to participate in the run this year despite the fact that girls aren't allowed to. So the 2 of them find and steal Officer Rick's patrol car and also steal the gun out of it. So we cut back to the town and we see that the run has turned into utter chaos. The boys are all killing each other. They're looting stores and killing the townspeople that are trying to tell them to stop. It is just absolute fucking pandemonium. Richie and Kelly run into the bully from earlier, Riley, and he starts like harassing them. So Kelly just knocks his ass out, which allows Richie to be able to steal his belt buckle back that they had stolen from him earlier. So Ricks at this point knows that the 2 of them have his patrol car, so he sends out a fake tip saying that Sawtooth Jack is in the center of town. This causes them to go there, and when they get there, they actually find Sawtooth Jack. Richie raises his gun to shoot him, but before he's able to do so, he notices that Sawtooth Jack is wearing a very familiar belt buckle, because it's the same one that he has and the same exact one that his brother Jim had. So it's at this point that Richie realizes that Sawtooth Jack is his brother, Jim. So Richie goes home and confronts his mother, who admits that she's the one that's been sending the postcards from Jim this whole time. She tells Richie that her and Richie's father had no idea what was going to happen, and she apologizes to him, takes a knife, slits her throat, and dies. Meanwhile, Richie's father runs into Officer Ricks, and Ricks tells him that if the run is not completed, it will cause absolute devastation in the town. Like, all the crops will die, it will be a complete catastrophe. Richie and Kelly end up making it to the church where they run into Richie's father, and he reveals everything to them. So Officer Ricks, along with members of the Harvesters Guild, are responsible for never letting anybody leave this town. And every year, the person who kills Sawtooth Jack, who is framed as the winner, is actually then transformed into Sawtooth Jack for the following year. So Sawtooth Jack is indeed Richie's brother, Jim Shepard. And Richie's dad explains that they did not know this until after Jim won the run. So Richie is devastated, and he goes outside and sees Sawtooth Jack approaching the church. And he sees the angry mob approaching as well. So Officer Ricks gives Riley a gun and tells him, "You're gonna be this year's winner, go and finish it." So he shoots Sawtooth Jack, who then falls into Richie's arms on the steps of the church. Riley approaches to deliver the final blow, but then Richie pulls a gun on him. But Sawtooth Jack, who again we know is Richie's brother, takes the gun in Richie's hands and points it at his own head, indicating that he wants Richie to kill him. So Richie, through his tears, pulls the trigger, and he does. So now we see Richie being the one celebrated by the town, hailed as the winner. During the celebrations, he and Kelly are dancing, and he tells her that he wants to run away with her that night. She agrees to meet him and also slips him a gun that she had on her. So Richie is now presented with his new car, and he gets in and he drives away. He goes and meets Kelly, and the two of them start to drive out of the town, but of course they are caught by Officer Ricks. Kelly manages to hide, but a chase ensues between Ricks and Richie. They run into the cornfield where Ricks pulls a gun on Richie, but Richie is able to shoot him first and he dies. But just when we think Richie is in the clear, he is ambushed by the farmer that we had seen earlier, and he buries Richie alive. Kelly witnesses this and is absolutely devastated, but then Richie's father finds her and tells her to flee, get out of the town, which she does. She makes it out. So now we cut to the following year, and we once again see Sawtooth Jack hanging up on that wooden beam in the cornfield. But this time, before the farmer can get to him, Richie's father gets to him first. And when the farmer shows up and tries to stop him, he kills the farmer. Fuck that guy. Richie's father then tells Sawtooth Jack, aka his son, as he's resurrecting, to get revenge and burn it all down, and the movie ends.
I know you're looking for horror movies, so stop fucking scrolling because I got you. Not only am I here all year long, but I'm really ramping it up for spooky season. I'm Chuck. I'd love to be your movie guy. Hit that like button, give me a follow, and this is 5 underrated horror movies that people either forgot about or don't talk about on TikTok. Forget Me Not is about this group of high school kids after graduation that play this game. It's kind of like hide and seek, and they start disappearing one by one. And it'll have you asking the question, do you remember me? This fucker rips. The only person I've seen talk about Tamara is the legend, the GOAT, the Queen, Horror Chronicles, and this movie absolutely rips. It's about an unattractive girl that dies, and she comes back as this sexy seductress to exact revenge, and listen, she is the baddest bitch. Madhouse is about this young psychiatric intern that learns about these supernatural things going on at the facility that he works at. This is unnerving, it's creepy, it's criminally underrated, and it fits the bill for spooky movie night. Truth or Dare, 2012, not 2018. Listen, this rips. It's about these British kids, a bunch of dudes and a bunch of girls. They're promised a night of partying when they go to this cabin, and they are faced dealing with this vicious killer. This movie rips, and it's been forgotten about. I don't know why people don't talk about Kill Theory more, because this movie's an absolute fucking banger about these college kids after graduation that go to this secluded vacation home, and they are forced to kill each other one by one by this brutal sadistic killer. Listen, this one absolutely fucking rips. Let me know in the comments if you've seen or even remember any of these, and I hope you enjoy them for your spooky season horror movie night. I'm Chuck. I'd love to be your movie guy. Hit that like button. Give me a follow.
There it is. It's my first time doing something like this.
Hey, Dad, look at Carly.
Get up here, Carly! What the hell was that? The hell was that?
May 2023, 18-year-old Lai suspiciously fell from the 10th floor balcony. The reason that his death has been driving Taiwan and netizens all over the world absolutely insane is the fact that every single thing up to his death is suspicious. A week prior to Lai's death, he mysteriously inherits $15.5 million, or 500 million Taiwanese dollars. 2 hours before his death, 18-year-old Lai marries a 26-year-old man that he's only met twice. Then he dies. Not only is his death this confusing question of what actually happened, but also now, who gets his $15.5 million fortune? If the police go off the timeline that the mother gave them, that means 18-year-old Lai left the house around 7 a.m. to speak with one of the family's property managers about his new asset transfers. The property manager, his name is Junior. Junior has been working with the family for 20 years. He's 26, but his dad has been involved with the Lai family for the past 2 decades. So this is nothing out of the ordinary. Likely there's going to be a lot more meetings now because 18-year-old Lai has to learn how to handle this massive real estate portfolio. Chen tells her son, be home by 9 a.m. Be back in 2 hours so that we can put your grandfather in his final resting place. But instead, at 9 a.m., Lai is at the courthouse getting married to this 26-year-old property manager. Lai is 18. Yes, the property manager, Junior, is 26 years old. It's so weird. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of questions the police want to ask this new husband of Lai's. The first being, why didn't you acknowledge that your husband was the man on the ground when you called 911? This was the man standing next to his body calling 911. He was one of the witnesses in the red, white, black shirt. Why did he not mention at all, hey, that's my husband that I just married 2 hours ago?
That is so crazy.
In fact, the authorities remember asking him, do you know this man? And he said no, he did not. He shook his head and just stood there watching as medical professionals strapped him onto a stretcher and drove him away. He never asked to... What? Can I be in the ambulance? Which hospital is he going to? Is he going to be okay? Why would he? He's a complete stranger. But he's not. He's his husband. Why would you not acknowledge your own husband to the authorities? What are you hiding?
Grab your popcorn. Netflix just dropped a fucking sleeper. If you landed on this page, hit that follow button. This is what happens when a somewhat innocent pre-wedding party turns into a game night from hell. And trust me, you're going to want to put your phone down and pay attention to this one. A group of old friends get together to celebrate. But their old friend Forbes, who they haven't seen in a long time, crashes the party with a mysterious game and things get messy. And not the fun kind of messy. First, the group does what any group of old friends would do: drink, reminisce, throw around some old jokes. You know, your typical pre-wedding shit. But once the game starts, it's like somebody opened Pandora's box. Buried secrets start to bubble up to the surface. And yeah, those good vibes, they're gone faster than you can say, was this a terrible idea? One of the best things about this movie is how it plays with our expectations. You know something's off from the moment that damn game is introduced. But the director doesn't rush into the horror. Instead, the tension creeps in slowly, making every revelation and twist hit that much harder. The film taps into our insecurities and long-held grudges, making you wonder what would happen if your own secrets were put on the table. It's your boy Bobby at Watch Real Flicks. Let me know in the comments if you've seen this sleeper, it's what's inside, and how you felt about it. Don't forget to hit that follow button.
Growing up, I used to spend the night at a house that was, in my opinion, haunted. My friend lived there with her family, and they all thought nothing of the sinks turning themselves on and off at night sporadically. Not a drip, mind you, but a fucking full-on sink for 3 seconds and then nothing. It would wake me up every time and scare the shit out of me. Other haunted shit in this house. The TV turned itself on sometimes and changed channels by itself. One time we laid in bed upstairs talking and the TV turned on and started slowly flipping through different channels of static. My friend's bedroom was the bonus room, so she had the door to the attic in her ceiling. If we stayed up talking too late, we would hear warped wood start creaking back and forth across the door. So scary when you're all 14 years old. The worst thing. This was the thing that made me officially stop going over to her house. One time, the whole family packed up and went to Sam's Club to go shopping, and as a bored 14-year-old, I came with them. The mom locked up the house as usual. We shopped for 30 minutes tops and we came home. When her mom went inside, she tried flipping on the lights. Didn't work. She said, "I wonder if the power went out," and tried other lamps. Nothing. After a swift check of the house, it was discovered that all the light bulbs in the house had been moved to the four corners of the living room. I don't know why, but I remember crying when we discovered them. For some reason, it was deeply scary for me. Imagine it's not haunted, but like someone's living in the walls or some shit. To be fair, I feel like someone living in the walls would be scarier than the place being haunted. What do you think?